to week 5 of our pick 6 of the Punt, Pass, and Chat podcast.
Nailed it again. 5 for 5. Not bad, this guy.
No, not at all. I'm Chris Sciria.
I'm Robert Hardy.
And we are ready to pick 6 wonderful National Football League games just for purely recreational purposes. And we encourage you not to gamble.
What's with the disclaimer every week?
I don't want to take the blame because I'm telling you, people take this stuff seriously. They will use these picks to bet for money.
Oh, goodness. Okay, let's get into the first game.
All right. Detroit at Green Bay.
Chris picked the games this week,
and notice there's no Miami this
After
week
After 4
either.
weeks of grumbling, 3 weeks of having to pick his own team, he finally gets to make the, he got to pick the pick 6.
Yes, and notice I didn't pick the Bills.
That's right.
Because they played last night.
There
we go. So our first game is Detroit at Green Bay, a good NFC Central rivalry. Detroit's coming off a good win. The Packers have been a little disappointing. You know, they're 2-2. I mean, you know, you lose at Cincinnati and you lose at San Francisco. You know, no shame in that, but still, 2-2. I think they're a little disappointed, and I think that's why Green Bay, they're back at Lambeau, and I think they're going to play a pretty darn good game, and I think they're going to shut down Reggie Bush, and I think they're going to come out with a big win in this week.
Well, I have Green Bay winning too, so that won't close the gap in our standings. Chris is 14-10, by the way. I'm 11-13, so if you are going to use these to gamble, go with Chris's picks. But back to the Green Bay-Detroit game. I'm going to take Green Bay to win. I've got the Packers winning 30-27. The Lions look good this year. It seems like their defense is coming together, and on offense, the addition of Reggie Bush really helps them.
Yeah.
Calvin Johnson is always there, but Bush gives them another dimension. Now that the running game takes a little pressure off Matt Stafford, and they're looking good. But I think Green Bay, after the bye week, coming in, they want to get some redemption after these losses to Cincinnati, and of course in week 1 to San Francisco. So, I think that they're going to start getting on a bit of a streak here, especially against their NFC North opponents. So, I see them taking this game again 30-27.
Okay. Our next game, staying a little bit in the NFC North, or maybe I said NFC Central before, but NFC North, the Bears are hosting the Saints. I decided to pick the tough games this week, the real tough ones, the ones that really, they're almost pick 'em games. But I like the Bears in this game. I think the Bears are just so tough at Soldier Field. The Saints are coming off a short week. Yes, they played very well. They didn't really have to put out much of an effort to beat Miami on Monday night, but they are coming off a short week. They're on the road. The Bears are well rested. They're playing at Soldier Field. I like Cutler. I like Marshall. I think the Bears are a team that is starting to hit their stride. I really think they're starting to come along, and I like the Bears this week.
Well, maybe I'll be able to
pick up a game
here. Taking the Saints by a touchdown, 34-27. I think this is going to be a great game.
I think so too.
One of the best games of the week. They just, the Bears have been playing well. With the exception of the loss to Detroit. New Orleans looks really good, as you well know.
As I know.
It's good to have Sean Payton back. Obviously for the Saints. Drew Brees is back to his old tricks. Jimmy Graham is, arguably one of the most dominant receivers in the league right now. He's a tight end. The Saints look good on both sides of the ball too. On the defensive side, they had some question marks there last year, but they're looking good now. And I think in a game like this, it's really going to help them. So I'm going to take the Saints.
All right, we differ on that one. Our next pick is New England at Cincinnati. That is a very good ball game. The Bengals preseason were picked to win the NFC North, and so far they've been kind of middling there. They've had some good wins and they've had some bad losses. New England, I think it's pretty well chronicled their struggles with wide receivers, tight ends, Gronkowski being out. I hear he's not going to play again this week, possibly. But Tom Brady keeps it together, and I got to admit, I tip my cap to him. That was a great win against the Falcons last week on Sunday Night Football. I didn't think that the Patriots had any chance in that game, that Atlanta was going to expose them, but they found a way to win. I give Tom Brady and Bill Belichick credit. But they're on the road for a second week in a row. I think that takes a toll on them. And Cincinnati is a very good opponent, and I like Cincinnati's game. I don't think that Andy Dalton is going to tear it up, but I still think that the Bengals defense is definitely going to lay some wood to Tom Brady's backside there. put them down a few times, and I think that's going to be the key. And I like the Bengals in this game.
Lay some wood to Tom Brady's backside.
Yeah, it's a nice way of saying they're going to kick his rear end.
This show might need an R rating.
Or PG-13.
I'm going to take the Patriots in this one, only because after beating Atlanta on their home field last week, I feel more and more confident about this team. It seems Brady's getting a little bit more comfortable with some of his rookie receivers. Tompkins comes to mind. He has a good core of running backs. LeGarrette Blount certainly had a decent game against Atlanta last week. So, this is a team, plus with a defense, and, we know how Bill Belichick is with his defense.
Yeah, but Vince Wilfork's out for the year, though.
True, but, this unit as a whole is very strong, and, I'm confident that even without Wilfork, that they're going to still be good and not dominant necessarily, but,
Right.
They can still perform well enough to win games. Cincinnati, I think we both talked about how great they are, but, after losing to the Browns, I'm a little less confident about this
Yeah,
team.
but you got to look at it this way: bad loss, man. You want to shake it off, and you want to move on, and then you're back home. I mean, that's the thing. I think when you play a team that you should beat and you lose to them, it gets you angry because you gave one away and you want to redeem yourself, and this is their chance to do it.
Yeah, but if you look back, I mean, this is a team that, that game aside, you look at the Packers game. I mean, the defense bailed them out of that game.
Absolutely.
I mean, they should have lost that
Yeah,
game.
they should have.
So, that's a reason for concern. That you look at the schedule, and this team could easily be 1-3.
True.
So I mean, it's something that I think New England coming in, with Brady there, Brady's always a major factor for that team, and even without Gronkowski and some of their other weapons, I mean, I'm going to take them. Take New England 24-20 in this one.
All right. Our next game is.
Plus, I have to make up in the
Yeah,
standings
see, that's
here.
the thing. Yeah, think against me. That's why I'm going first, by the way. Seattle and Indianapolis. This is a great game. I really like this game. I think this is where the Seahawks' run ends. They lucked out last week against Houston. I mean, Matt Schwab just basically said, "Merry Christmas, here you go, take it." So, but this is the week, I think, where their luck runs out. No pun intended. Well, maybe I did intend it a little bit, but I think I did intend it. Yes. Andrew Luck, I think he's due for a huge game. He's been I think he's actually been a little disappointing compared to last year, just a little bit. He hasn't put up the gaudy numbers I think we thought he was going to. I think this is the week he puts up some good numbers against a good Seahawks defense. I think their home field there, and I'm trying to think of the name of the stadium there, Lucas Oil Stadium is going to be rocking. So I just think it's time for the Seahawks to lose a game. They should have lost last week. They're, again, on the road a second week in a row. I can't help but say, trends, usually when you're on the road 2 weeks in a row, that second week is when you're kind of, in the fourth quarter, you're starting to feel the effects of being away and everything. But I like Indianapolis in this game.
Yeah, it's another week against an AFC South opponent.
Yes.
Seattle going over, and you're right. I mean, they lucked out against Houston last week. Seattle went into that game, and Houston had it until Matt Schaub threw it away, literally. But I don't see the same thing happening this week against Indianapolis. I think if Indianapolis gets a lead, and they're Luck's solid, they have a good defense. On offense, like you said, he's had some struggles this year with, getting that offense to be as good as it can be. But I still think that he wouldn't make a mistake like Matt Schaub made.
Yes.
And if Indianapolis gets ahead, like I think they will, I'm picking them to win too. That he's not going to fall into that position. He's not going to be that guy that late in the game like that make a stupid throw across the field and Richard Sherman's running the other way for a touchdown. I think the Colts can. Colts look good this year. They, it seems like they're, one of the better teams in the AFC. Obviously, when you think of the AFC, you think of Denver, but Indianapolis is close behind, especially after going out to San Francisco and winning on their home turf. So, I'm taking the Colts in this one. I think it'll be one of the few Seattle losses this year.
Yep. Speaking of Denver, that's our next game. I think this is the game of the week. I think 99% of the United States is going to watch this game on television. The only people that are fortunate not to be able to watch it live in Arizona because you have to watch the Cardinals at home. But Denver at Dallas.
That hurts, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it does. Unless you have Sunday ticket, then you get them all. It's a tough one. I mean, this is going to be a great game, and I like Denver. I wanted to pick Dallas. I think Dallas has the talent to beat Denver, but I just think Peyton Manning is on such a roll right now. I mean, I think this is one of the greatest runs by a quarterback in NFL history, easily. And I think I mentioned that in the podcast yesterday. I mean, what he's doing through the first 4 games, 16 touchdown passes, no interceptions. I think he's on pace for, I think, 5,600 yards passing. I mean, he's just, this guy's 37 years old, and I understand that, you get older, some of your skills start to diminish, but, I mean, this guy is playing like he's in the prime of his career, and you could almost say he still is in the prime of his career. He's really had no down in his career except for the injury that kept him out 2 years ago. So, Dallas, they have the talent. They could win this game. The home field is important, obviously, but I think Denver will win this game. I just think Peyton Manning is just literally by himself is going to lead the Broncos, and obviously their defense is no slouch either, which is another factor. But I like Denver in this game on the road.
Yeah, me too. I certainly agree on on everything you said about Peyton Manning. I mean, he's having an outstanding season at the quarter pole. Probably the unanimous selection for MVP at this point.
Absolutely.
I mean, the impact he's had on the Broncos. I mean, the Broncos had good players before he got there, but he just makes them better, especially on offense. With Demaryius Thomas and Eric Decker there, plus Welker. Who they added in the offseason. Julius Thomas. I mean, they've got weapons galore, and he's getting the running backs involved too.
Yep.
That's one thing that has been kind of overlooked because he's had such a great season so far. Is that the running backs have had a decent season too. No Sean Moreno's an example. He's getting some looks too because everyone's focusing on the pass.
Well, when you have to drop all those guys back in
Yeah.
pass protection, it opens up some
Makes
holes
it
in the
easy.
line. So,
Yeah.
yep.
So, I mean, I'm taking Denver 41-28 in this one. I think Dallas is going to be, it's always a tough place to
Yeah.
play, but I think that this will be a big test for they say it's an improved defense
Right.
down there, and we'll see how improved it is come Sunday.
Rematch of Super Bowl 12, by the way, for you history fans out there. Houston and San Francisco is our last game. This is the prime time matchup, and this is a good one. I mean, this literally could be the Super Bowl when you really think about it. Although I don't think it'll happen. I like San Francisco. I think that they've been disappointing. I think it's almost like Green Bay. They just played such a tough schedule to start that they got off to a slow start. They got to start picking up some wins. I think Houston, they're going to have a little bit of a hangover from that loss. I think that left a bad taste in their mouth, and having to go on the road isn't good. And I like San Francisco in this game.
Yeah, I'm taking the 49ers by 2 touchdowns. I think they've had a tough first 4 games of the year, kind of an up and down season for them. They did beat the Rams. That was the last Thursday night game.
Everybody beats the Rams.
So, but again, the Rams don't look good this year. It's not like the Rams team of last year, who competed with the 49ers. But the 49ers up and down season. That loss to Indianapolis we mentioned earlier is an example. Losing at home like that. I just think they're going to want to get into a rhythm here. They need to get the momentum going, and this is a great game to do it against a great AFC South team who, coming off that loss against Seattle might be hungry, kind of like the Bengals you talked about. So
Maybe.
We'll see. It is Matt Schaub, so he might throw the game away this time too.
Or he might actually have a good game, but I'm betting against that. I think it's going to be San Francisco in this game.
Yeah, so I think that covers it, Chris. We'll be back next week, of course, on Thursday with our weekly Punt, Pass, and Chat podcast.
You have to say that slow.
Yeah.
You just can't say
Well,
it fast.
I almost said the Citizens' other great podcast, which is the Powerbomb podcast, which I'm also a part of. So
What's that? Never heard of it.
never heard of it. Wow, listen to this guy.
I like my sports real.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll be back. We'll be back on Thursday with that, and then next Friday we'll return with the next Pick 6 video. We'll pick another 6. Maybe Chris will let me have the selections.
Oh,
again
alternate.
this
Yeah,
week.
you can do it again.
Okay, kind of you. So,
Yes.
all right. Well, until then, hope you guys have a good weekend. Enjoy the games this week.
Thanks, everyone.